What up, peoples? Oh, my mic's showing. My mic's not usually showing. Mike, what are you showing? Good evening, everybody. Welcome to the Even People Show. I can't play music on the show anymore because I don't have time to figure out what I can and can't play. So I just don't. My apologies, but it's blasting in my ear. All right. Hello. Welcome to the Even People Show. It's that time of day. It's that time of week. I am happy to have you. And I'm on time today. You see the difference? Yes, today I'm on time. If this is your first time joining the show, welcome to the Even People Show. On this show, we interview folks. We talk to old friends, new friends. We usually try to get the story behind the people. You know what I mean? And what keeps coming out over and over in the show is just how everyday people like you or I are out there making a difference, out there making a change, out there making a positive impact on people's lives. Usually somebody jumps on and say, what are we talking about? I'm going to give them a minute. But thank you for joining the Evening People Show. Today, I have a special show for you guys today because you guys are just stuck with me today. And I like to do that in between shows so I get to talk to y'all. After all, the Even People Show is my show, right? But I like having guests on there so you guys can hear their perspectives and see what they bring to the table. But today we're going to get a chance to mix it up. I want to say I have a bunch of guests lined up for y'all. I'm double booked for next week. I'm going to flip a coin. I'm double booked for the week after that. I'm going to flip a coin. We have some good guests lined up coming your way. But today I want us to rap a little bit about a few things. I'm wearing my Boys in the Hood t-shirt today. Y'all remember the show? Ice Cube, Cuba Gooden, and that other pretty boy. I was in that show. The other day I saw it come up somewhere I was at. I'm like, oh my God, every black actor was in that show. What on earth? Anywho, like I said, today we're gonna do two things. As usual, we're gonna cover some poetry in the second part of the show. But right now we're gonna talk about something that came to me, and it's a topic called "It's okay to say no." It is okay to say no. Now, a friend of mine, pardon me, picking my face. A friend of mine, I was talking to them recently, and they said, they finally came to the conclusion that it was okay to say no. And for them, it's almost like they spend so much time trying to make everybody happy. They spend so much time thinking that every request that was made of them, they had to fulfill the request. Anything anybody wanted them to do at any time, they had to do it. Until one time they really, really couldn't, and they said no. They said no, and they realized, you know what? Saying no doesn't make me a bad person. I just said no. So what we're going to talk about for the first half of the show here, we're going to talk about just saying no when no is necessary. There's one more thing I want to mention before I even get going here, and it is that right now I have a lot of viewers from Jamaica. Right now, Jamaica is on Eastern Standard Time. Okay. The US is on Eastern Daylight Time. Hello, pretty Lois, my dear. How are you? Pastor wife checking in the place. Pastor wife checking in the place. I just had brunch with my ex-wife and my daughter. Can you imagine? I did. Um, Good times with those two. It's so interesting seeing her. And she looks like her mom too. Like people say she looks like me, but she kind of looks like her mom. Anyways, not sure where that came from, but here we go. Anyways, um, what was I saying, Luis? What was I saying? Tell me what I was saying. I remember what I was saying. The time zone. What's your in it? What is? Why are you reeling me? Yes, I said really. What? What is it? What did I do? What did I do? Louise says she is well. She has her own identity. I apologize. You are correct. You do have your own identity, a very distinguished one which we visited on the show. So I apologize for identifying you as a pastor's wife. You do have your own identity. Okay, big step growing up. No, dear, it's not. It's not a first thing. Me and the ex and the daughter have brunch a couple times a year at least. Um, this one was on the. My daughter got a job recently at 16. She was so eager to join the workforce. I'm giving her a couple weeks to change her mind. But she joined the workforce recently, and this was like a celebratory, however you say that word. So we just got together and did that for her, saying congratulations on nailing your first job from your first ever interview. So we have Luis on board, we have Shernet on board, and the Maxi K from NY is in the place. I realize I always say Maxi K from NY. I don't know why. It kind of just rolls off the tongue. Yes, Eastern Standard Time and Eastern Daylight Time. So whenever I put the post up for the show, I put 7 p.m. and then I put in brackets 6 p.m. EST for Eastern Standard Time. That is because right now, this time of year, while daylight savings is on, the US, where I'm at, Florida, is on what they call Eastern Daylight Time. And then Jamaica and the rest of the normal world that can't bother flip-flop the time is still on Eastern Standard Time. So that's what puts us an hour ahead of you is the Eastern Daylight Time. So when I put the post up for 7 p.m., 6 p.m. EST, that's because it should be 6 p.m. in Jamaica. I would put England time too, because that makes us an hour closer to them, but then that would just confuse everybody. Congratulations on your daughter. I appreciate you, my dear. All right, let's get going now. We have a quorum of persons. Let's do it. Today we're going to talk about Renee. Renee, how are you, my dear? Lovely to have you. I haven't seen you since the show. We need to link up again. We have I think we could squeeze out another show in Renee. I felt like I had fun doing the show. And I see you doing some things. You think me nasty? You're going to have to join us again. All right, so check this. We're going to talk about it being okay to say no. It is okay to say no. Now, let's look at some scenarios here. One of them being simply doing things you don't want to do. Peer pressure type things. Now, hang on, let me get Renee first as she's doing well. And Kate is saying, congratulations on your daughter. Well, thank you, my love. Thank you so much. I prepped her real well, bought her an outfit and all, and told her exactly what to say. It worked like a charm. Anyways, peer pressure. Saying no to stuff like drugs, saying no to stuff like alcohol, saying no when no makes you unpopular. And I think the issue with this, and this is where persons get in trouble all the time, is the need that we have created in society to be popular, to feel like a part of. And I get it, we're social beings, but I think we have inflated the need to fit in, the need to do what everybody else is doing, the need to do what everybody thinks, or certain persons that we think should know better for whatever reason, or we have ascribed them these what do we ascribe? We ascribe them, we give it to them. It is now theirs to decide what's in, what's out, what's hot, what's not, what's acceptable, what's cool. And we ascribe to these things. And it is okay for you to say no. And as parents out there, as educators, as professionals, you need to actually make that known to your children, to your underlings, to whoever you're in contact with, that, you know what, it is okay to say no, because there's a lot of people out here that have put themselves in quite a bit of trouble because when they should have said no, they were busy being politically correct, and they did not realize that they were in too deep until they were in too deep. Okay, so it is okay to say no. Checking in is Miss Lioness Reed, Melissa. Melissa, thank you, my dear, for checking in. But yeah, it's okay to say no. Now, this other one, no, let me not touch this other one yet. Another thing that you should say no to, and I'm putting this out there for women especially, but it applies to men as well. It's relationship versus relations. Relationship versus relations. And I'll break it down for you. You and the man broke up, or they're together no more. The relationship has ended, but he still wants to have relations with you. I'll say that again. Relationship versus relations. You and your significant other are no longer together. The relationship has ended. However, he or she, in instances, still want to have relations with you. Okay, Yolanda Kiffin, how are you, my dear? It was last time I saw you was when book signing. Thanks for representing for the class of 95 for the book signing. Thanks for checking in, my dear. Bless up. So we're talking about it being okay, or being okay to say no, just to say no. Okay, we've gone through a couple scenarios here. We're at relationship versus relations, and I'm saying, when you're at a point when your relationship has ended, it is okay to say no to the relations. Okay, so if that significant other, or the now ex-significant other, wants to still have relations with you, and I hope I don't have to break down relations any further, but they still want to have relations with you, it is okay to say no. Yes, they might be your ex-husband. You might even be separated and not divorced. They could be your baby father. They could be whatever the dynamic between you two are. If you have crossed the line where you're saying, you know what, we are not together anymore, guess what? It is okay to say no. You're well within your right to say no to anything that you no longer want to be a part of based on the new dynamic that you guys are in. And I'm going to say this several times throughout this part of the show, and it is like, I'm saying these things because there are persons out there who think that they have to say yes. They have to agree. They have to go with it. And you don't. And what you should never do also is allow somebody to leverage you, or leverage something that they're supposed to give to you regardless, and leverage what they want from you in return, knowing that the dynamic between you two have changed. All right, Shernet say yes, sir. Shernet, we are agreed to. No accessibility anymore. That's exactly what I'm saying. We've closed the door. That chapter is now closed. We're move on to chapter 2 or chapter 3 or wherever we are now, and we're gonna deal with what that looks like. Okay, and it is okay, 100% okay, to say no and stand your ground if you need to. Now, there's another thing right now, and it relates to dress code and showing it all. Now, that's what I have in my notes. Dress code, showing it all. Every time I hit search, so say for example, I want to look at one of your pages, one of my friends, yeah, whether Facebook or, well, not even Facebook so much, Instagram more so. I want to, or YouTube. I want to look at your page. So I press the search. I press my finger by the search. And before I start typing anything, there is a slew of what looks like a booty competition videos out there. And it's almost like the entire planet of women are in a booty competition. What is this booty competitions, you say? It's a competition where we take pictures highlighting the posterior end of us, and we do all these things to highlight it, to show it. They're a slew of exercise videos showing, hey, this is what you do to get it to look just right. And when you do that, take a picture of it so everybody can see. Now, on a wider scale, dress code in general, and again, we go back to us giving someone, Shernet, waya laugh at was with you. Again, we go back to let me see what Louise is saying. She's saying, you keep saying we. Who said we? I said we. Anywho, um, you see, Louis, you're sure that, oh no, I'm gonna leave me alone. Let me take a sip of my water. Um, but yes, um, there's no need for you to, you do not have to conform, is what I'm saying. The fact that society has given a group of people the right to decide what's in and what's not. They legitimately, think about it, they legitimately have TV stations dedicated to this stuff. To say, this is what's in, this is what's hot, this is what you should buy this summer. These are the new trends. These are the new things you should be desiring. This is what you should go spend your hard-earned money on. And who are these? Who are half of these people in the first place? A lot of you watching the video, watching this live feed right now, are smarter, more educated, more everything than some of these people that we have given the right to tell us what is in, what is out, what's hot, what's not, and everything else along the line. But somehow we still line up like sheep behind them. It is okay to say no. Let's see. We take booty pictures. No, dear, we don't take booty. I'm not in a part of the booty picture taking. The we was meant universally. You see, that's just troublemaking, is what I call that. I'm not a fan of those pics. I always wonder why they pose them, sticking it out, and who are they showing? Are the men impressed? I would say men are impressed. If not all, most of them have to be, because this thing has gotten out of hand. It is so popular now that it would not be allowed to continue if it weren't. Yeah. So on some level, this is what is required, and this is what's being shown. And hey, just like back in the day, you know, I mean, women used to dress an entirely different way at one point, and then when it changed, it changed. Okay, women, y'all want to dress differently? Great. Men still like women. So if y'all want to, you know, carry on a global booty competition where everybody or anybody that wants to can take part and take pictures of and post and show, we're not going to argue. But I'm saying, though, the point I'm making is why. And also, it is okay to say no. It is okay to not subscribe to that. It is okay to subscribe to however you think you should look, and you should not allow anyone or any fad or whatever is in at this time to make you feel or to pressure you into thinking that, you know what, I have to take part in this, irrespective of how popular it is. Louise is saying, it is okay to say no to tattoos on your forehead. It is absolutely okay to say no to tattoos on your forehead. I'm not sure why anybody would want a tattoo on their forehead. Shrendit is saying, so now you know why it is being done. Sex. Well, but here's the thing, though. Is that necessary? Are we saying that all these women that are doing these things are what? Thirsty, lonely, not getting any, or whatever? Is that the case, or is it just that we've made it a thing, and so you realize that, you know what, if this is what we're doing now, look at mine is good, it can compete if it needed to, so let's just put it out there because it meets the criteria. Yeah, even on a simple level, you know, I mean, it might not even be that, you know, I'm trying to whatever. It's just that when I look at what's out there, I'll give you an example. when I went to Poetry in Motion years ago, and I sat there and watched some of the people on. And I love Poetry in Motion. I've attended it for several years. I love Calabash in St. Elizabeth. I've attended that several times too, because I like poetry, obviously. But then you see you've seen people, even you see some people on, that are famous and are singing and whatever, and people that can really sing. I can sing better than them. But you're like, if they can do it and I can do it, why not do it too? Yeah. And I think that's how some persons get drawn into it. But I'm not going to lament too much on this booty situation here. But the point, though, and what we're talking about in this segment is that it is okay to say no, ladies. Don't let nobody peer pressure you into going out there and joining the booty competition. Even if you will get placed, you don't have to. Who can sing? Charlotte, I wasn't talking about me, dear. I wasn't saying I can sing, and I can sing, but I wasn't talking about me then. Why are you so confused? Anywho, moving right along, let me scratch it off the list. This next one, you don't work well with pressure. But here's the thing, though. Not working well with pressure. What do you do? Because some persons don't work well with pressure, and because they don't work well with pressure, what they do is conform. And instead of saying no, they follow suit because they don't do well with pressure. So because if they say no, it's going to create a situation that they would rather not deal with, then they don't. You see what I'm saying? They don't engage. They just allow it to slide when they could have and should have said no. I want to talk about, let's see, Megan. All right, Miss Megan Smile. Bless up yourself too, my dear. We're talking about a very, very simple thing. And that thing is, it is okay to say no. And what we're looking at are different scenarios that in which it is okay to say no, and just look at the implications. I don't have any tattoo on my forehead, but that was one of the things that I almost said the pastor wife. I'm not gonna say the pastor wife, Louise. That was just a joke. To lessen the conflicts, exactly, Renee. So let's get back on track here. Yes, to lessen the conflicts, as I was saying, sometimes you will conform, as opposed to saying no. But what I'm putting out here is saying it is okay to say no. It is okay to say no. It's always okay to say no. And Megan, I got it. Now you're all caught up. Some of the things we looked at was just peer pressure, to drugs and alcohol. We looked at relationship versus relations, and then we looked at dress code, more specifically showing it all, aka the worldwide booty competition we have going on. Okay, now let's look at some more complex situations. It is okay to say no. Which one of these should I say first? Let me see if somebody here has a comment here that will save me from saying it. You're saying we should have standards and boundaries. You absolutely should have standard and boundaries, and you should know yourself enough to know what works for you. You understand? If the booty competition is going on and you want to be a part of it and that's just who you are, have at it. However, if it's not you, say no to it. You understand? If you are in a relationship and your relationship has ended, but you still want to carry on relations with the person you were in a relationship with, yes, that's also on you. What I'm saying is, do not allow the fact that the other person or the other persons or society's view of what you should do, don't let that be the governing thing behind what you actually do. Let you be the actual governing thing behind what you do. Okay? So I'm not saying any one of these things should not be done per se. I'm saying if it is for you, have at it. If it's not for you, however, do not allow anyone to steer you into it when it's not for you. Leanne, bless up yourself, my dear. How's Mandeville? Megan, where are you there again? So no, even if you're alone. Elaborate on that, Megan. Elaborate on the no if you're alone. Which one of the scenarios are you talking about? All right. All right, let's move on now. We're gonna move on to. Hang on. She says she's in Baltimore. Bless up Baltimore in the house. You say you were concerned about what people said or thought about me. Okay, and okay, that's one that's kind of a segue, but to what I just said just now, as far as it relates to you having the choice if this is what you choose and making sure that the choice is not based on external influences. Like you say, you used to follow people and try to please them. And a lot of persons have done that. A lot of persons have done that. And that those are the things that I'm speaking of, where it is okay to say no. Like I said, I have friends that were just so caught up with being, all right, I'm gonna leapfrog to something here because now it's applicable. Saying no doesn't mean that you're not a nice person. Let that sink in. Let's reiterate. Saying no does not mean that you are not a nice person. Saying no does not mean that you do not like the person, whatever the scenario is. Saying no does not mean that you're going to carry it beyond that. It's just saying, you know what? No, this is not for me here, no. And I don't want to do this. Okay? I don't want to do this. This is not for me. And it doesn't mean I don't like you. It doesn't mean I have an issue with you. And more importantly, especially for the persons that are doing these things because they're trying to, like Megan pointed out, please people, or they don't want any animal, it does not make you a bad person. Saying no does not make you a bad person. It is okay to tell somebody no if they're wanting to move something in a direction and you don't want to go in that direction. It's okay to say no. You don't have to go to bed and worry about it. You don't have to have no remorse about it. You don't have to nothing about it. If you say no because it's not what you want, you say no because that's not what you want and that's it. Let's let that's it full stop sinking. The silent part, because there's nothing else has to follow that. No explanation has to follow that. You don't have to give any reasons for that. This is just not what you're thinking. This is just not what you're feeling. This is just not where you're at. The end. Right? What's Megan saying? But now women are comfortable, you know. So you're not joining the booty competition. You're not joining the booty competition. Megan, I hear you, my dear. I hear you. Let me get caught up on these comments here. You have been set free since high school. Amen. That's a good time to get free, because that's a time when a lot of people actually are under a lot of peer pressure, you know what I mean, and do a lot of things, and sometimes get themselves into situations that they can't just get out of, you know what I mean. So true, stick to your boundaries and your principles. I do what pleases me. Now, Miss Mirror is addressing me as Mr. Matthews. Let's see what she's saying. Is there a place for positive peer pressure in all this, though? Does peer pressure always have to be negative? Very, 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 very good point, Miss Mayor. There is a place for positive peer pressure. Absolutely, there is a place for positive peer pressure. But usually those are not the things, well, I'd hope, those are not usually the things that you're feeling pressured to say no to. You see what I'm saying? So the positive peer pressure, you know, if you know yourself, that's usually the thing that you know within yourself that, you know what, I should be. Positive peer pressure is something that sometimes people stay away from, because again, it's contradictory to the negative peer pressure. So yes, there is definitely a place for positive peer pressure. There's a place for iron to sharpen it iron. There's a place for persons of like minds to build each other up. Absolutely. And if you're in that situation, for sure, you can move forward with that. But more often than not, that's what's in the minority. That usually come across in the sound still voice, you know, that comes across nice and calm, and the other side comes off loud and rowdy, blasting out the speakers, and is usually sometimes a lot more attractive, which is why it pulls more pressure, more people to it. Um, exactly. Peer pressure is being forced to do something you don't want to. If you want to, that's really like minds, um, coming together and moving in the right direction. All right. All right. Now, another situation I want to look at here where it is okay to say no. I think this month or this week is Pride Month here in America. I don't know if it's anywhere else. Pride Month. It is Pride Month. And I hope everybody knows what that is. If you don't, I think it's Gay Pride Month. And they take a lot of steps during this time of year to talk about the rights of persons to choose whatever they want to choose as it relates to their sexuality. Okay, it is okay to say no to that as well. Okay, it is okay to say no, and again, it doesn't make you a bad person. You see what I'm saying? If you have a right, whatever right that is, and you want to exercise said right, fine. However, I have a right to say no and to disagree and even to speak out against the right you have. And it does not make me a bad person. It makes me someone of a different opinion than you. Okay? So have your month, have your pride with your month. However, I can say no to that as well. And just like how you can say no to my way of life, any aspect of my way of life, I can also say no to your way of life. And it doesn't make me, whatever labels they like to put on people that are not, agreeable to their beliefs. It is okay for you to say no, and it is okay when you say no if you're just not down with what somebody else's lifestyle is or look like. It is okay for you to say no to that too. All right. Another one I want us to touch on is, and a lot of people probably need to say more no in this regard, is what we eat, what we put inside our bodies. Saying no to that, or being in a situation where you're out with friends and everybody want to go to this place and everybody are out or whatever, they are and have a good time, and your body type, your fitness goals, what you're working on right now, your weight, your desired look is really not conducive to whatever the on the table right now. Just say no. Because when you have some persons who can eat literally anything they want, stand up in the sun and the calories and the weight burn off, and you ain't that one, don't set yourself up because you're out with friends and the friends are doing that. You know what I mean? And they might, I get it. A lot of these situations, they present themselves as potentially just making you look different in the crowd. You know what I mean? And I get that. However, what I don't want you to do is to think that you're being a bad person when you say no. You understand? Saying no does not make you a bad person. Saying no doesn't equal you doing the wrong thing. It's just you stating a right which you have to say no, and you're exercising that, right? Luis is saying cheesecake. Which is it? Cheesecake. I say no to more of you today. Woo! Cheesecake, cheesecake is your struggle, my dear. That's your cross to bear. It's gonna be hard. Might have to stay home. And Shannon, you know what? If you have to stay home, you have to stay home. Now, I wanna make a confession here. I had a serious ice cream issue one time. I had a serious ice cream issue. You hear me? And I'm lactose intolerant, so I'd have to take the Imodium tablet every time I do it. And I would literally go to Publix, which is our local supermarket, buy the pastry, put the pastry in a bowl, put it in the microwave for a minute, have it all melted, and pour mounds of ice cream on it, and sit there and eat it. And Publix ice cream is so good. I literally had an ice cream problem, and I had it for years. And like it's almost like any weekend I'm in the mood to. It's almost, I don't know whether I exercise or something I did, almost like it wasn't complete without the ice cream. And it took me a while, but I had to shake it. And I go to Publix all the time the very same way. And now I just don't come home with ice cream, because you know what? It's not. I hate putting on something that I like and it doesn't fit the way I want it to fit. You know, and the point I was making before is, if you know you're out there with friends, you know where you're at, and what they're about today is not conducive to whatever you have going on, walk away, stay home, do something, but don't go. Martin, that's not peer pressure in your case. That's a shortcoming or greediness. And you're probably right. You are probably right. But here's what the shortcoming you mentioned, the shortcoming you mentioned, sometimes it is that same shortcoming that makes people not say no when they should say no. It's just like somebody shy succumbing to peer pressure. It's a shortcoming you have, and because of the shortcoming, it makes you more susceptible to and more agreeable when you should. It's almost like having low self-esteem, you know. And when somebody is telling you or trying to, you know, get you, when somebody is still trying to maintain relations when the relationship end, but because of your low self-esteem, instead of you tell them no, you figure say, oh, you probably can't get nobody else because you're this or you're that or you're the next thing, and you facilitate or allow something that you should say no. So you're right. Shortcomings do have a place in this scenario as well, and there's a time when you need to take check of yourself and say no as well. All right, Renee, welcome back. Didn't realize that I'd lost you, my dear. But we glad you got that different device. And we try to recap the things you missed, because we don't want you to miss anything, love. You logged on, right? And we appreciate you for logging on. All right, now, food and eat. That's what I think I just mentioned. Now, here's another thing you have the right to say no to. And I did it, but you have the right to say no to it. And it's probably one of the most popular things now, and it's the vaccine. The vaccine. The vaccine. I should have gotten a placard and hold it up and said, the vaccine. So, how should I say this? And I get it. I get it. I get it. The argument is going to be made that it's for health reasons. It is for, you know, look at what it's doing to the world. Look at all the effects it's having. Everybody should take it, and all that. However, you have the right to say no to taking the vaccine for whatever reason you want. In my opinion, you don't have to. You don't have to take the vaccine if you don't want to take the vaccine. I took the vaccine. I took the vaccine because I took the Pfizer, the double take one, right? Because I travel. I like to travel. I don't want the people to give me no trouble when I travel. So I took the vaccine because I felt like, you know, we're easing to a point where moving around is going to become easier with, as opposed to without the vaccine, right? But here's what I'm saying. I took the vaccine for if nothing else, that reason. Shernet says, see you in 2 years with a tail. All right, Shernet, let's talk about my tail that I'll have in 2 years. No tail for me, dear. I wasn't even thinking about it. What is Brenda saying? I took it because I wanted to. Exactly. Brenda took it because she wanted to. That's my big sister. Blessings, Brenda. Now, with the vaccine and the whole, because here's the way I see it. And I explained to a guy at the work the other day when he said something similar to the tail growing thing when I told him I took it. Here's the thing. My parents gave, and most of our parents had us taking vaccine before we had a say in the matter. Yeah. So by the time you had any sense, which is whatever age that is, and you became aware of something called vaccine, you probably had a half dozen vaccines in your body already, right? Because back in the day, you go to the doctor 6 week. I have no idea. I'm guessing these numbers. Yeah. You go back to the doctor 6 week, then give you some vaccine. You go back in a 6 month, then give you some vaccine. You go back in a year, then give you some more vaccine. Right? Sure, and it's a Mandeville clinic. Yes, you got it. You go get some vaccine. So before you even had a say in the matter, you were getting vaccinated. However, those vaccines came about in the 40s. A lot of them came about in the 40s and 50s and 60s. So by the time we came around in the 70s and 80s, the vaccine, those vaccine had been, streamlined and were, acceptable worldwide to solve whatever issue was around at the time, polio, measles, mumps, rubella, whatever, right? The issue now is, now that we are also learned and the world is such a small place and everybody is out there, here comes a new vaccine now, and everybody has a topic on it. Everybody has an opinion on it. And because news works in such a way that the more inflammatory your opinion, the more airplay you likely get, then there were a lot of views shared about the vaccine on both sides of it, right? So now everybody's talking about, I don't take no vaccine, blah, 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 blah. How about this? How about maybe in not such a long time from now, the same way your parents gave you a bunch of vaccines before you knew anything about it, the kids that are being born now or will be born in a short time from now are gonna get that vaccine as well, because somebody discovered and did some research and say, if you get the vaccine in infancy, you grow with the antibodies, you can't possibly catch COVID. Yeah. Sharon is saying, immunization card said, I'm fully vaccinated. And you were fully vaccinated for everything that you needed to be vaccinated for at the time. However, diseases evolve. A disease evolves. Sickness evolves. Okay, it's an organism. It evolves. It has cells. It grows, right? And over time, yeah, you were fully vaccinated at that time for all the known viruses. Now there is a new virus. You need to get vaccinated for that as well. However, like we've been saying, you have the option to say no. If you don't want to get vaccinated, don't get vaccinated. I got vaccinated. I'm not telling you to get vaccinated, because you have that option to say no. Irrespective of what anybody says about anything, you have the option to say no. I caught COVID. I don't know. I don't think many of y'all had COVID. I had COVID. I had COVID last September, right? I was still going to the gym. I felt like I could have been, I felt like that gym was big enough to where I could social distance. So I don't know if it's where I touched, whatever. I caught COVID, had the fever really, really rough for a minute, for like a week. But then the fever's gone. I'm back to, I don't have no residual effects. I'm good. Okay. Everybody outcome might not be the same, but hey, you still have the option to say no. So I had the COVID and I have the vaccine, but you have the option to say no based on whatever you believe and whatever you want to go by. Mr. Dowdy is in the house. Delano is saying, this is not the same vaccine as the ones we got in the past. Elaborate on that for me, because no, it's not the same vaccine, because it's not for the same thing. So what are you saying, Mr. Dowdy? Elaborate so I can get on it and see exactly what you're saying. Megan is saying, say no to drugs. Megan, if your head hurt you right now, you're gonna take some Tylenol. You understand? So for me, it's a matter of the probabilities of think about it. All right, think about it. You sitting here smoking a cigarette, but no, me don't take no vaccine. My youth is sit down and smoke cigarette. Cancer will kill you anyway. We are worried about vaccine for. You understand? And there are several other things out there that people do. Even some of their eating habits, which is one of the stuff we mentioned earlier. You eat all these things and a vaccine you worry about, my youth? Go sit down. It don't make no sense. We are talking about not practical. You see what I'm saying? Because if I worry about what goes inside of you or what you wouldn't eat half how you eat, yeah? So for me, it just haven't make sense. Me already don't know in another vaccine and when we get long time. Me don't know when it is a vaccine and when we get, and it's whatever. But that's just me. You have the option to say no. Luis is saying there will be new viruses. there will be more vaccines. We should be more focused on building up our immune system. I see codependency on vaccines in the future. Very, very, very possible. Very, very possible. The drinking, what she say now? Megan say, you're drinking your black pea soup. Good for you, my dear. You need to tell us the nutritional value that that has so that we can jump on the black tea soup if we need to. But yes, you do have the option to say no to the vaccine. If you don't want the vaccine, just make sure, just like everything else we've listed, just make sure that the reason you are saying no to the vaccine actually makes sense. Simple. Make sure say it makes sense. Make sure say, if I ask you why you're not taking, you're not gonna say something to me which just not make no sense. You see what I say? Because then you just go just a talk because you hear somebody, you're gonna be regurgitating what the TV announcer say, right? Megan say, our black pea soup cure COVID. And you sit down and you hear that jinky instead of roll your empire, you're not going nothing, miss. All right. Here's Mr. Dowdy. Good. I'm glad you got back to me before I moved on. Mr. Dowdy is saying, this is a bit more complicated, especially it's a gene therapy. It means it is programming your body with information that is necessary for the body to recreate react appropriately to the virus. Got it. Yes, it is different. And I had watched a couple features on the difference and what this vaccine does and what it's supposed to do. But like I said, and like Luis said, there's going to be more viruses. There's going to be more vaccines, and who knows? Maybe this is big pharma's backup plan. A lot of people are eating healthy. A lot of people are living long. A lot of people are developing lifestyle to avoid dependency on big pharma. Maybe this is their big plan. If we can't catch you with the basic 1, 2, 3 things we catch everybody, we will catch you with a virus, even if we have to make it ourselves. But hey, that's a whole nother story. Now, we had leapfrog to saying no doesn't mean you're not a nice person. And I think we had mentioned saying no to anything that makes you uncomfortable. Now, I've said this. I'm going to talk about this last one here. Anything that makes you uncomfortable, anything that is a source of pressure, you have the option to say no to. And I've said this to my daughter, that make sure you don't put yourself in an uncomfortable situation that could end badly for you because of being politically correct. You understand? So if you're somewhere and say, for example, as a female and your male friend, like him want nudge you into doing something where you don't want to do, don't be polite with that, for throw him off hard and say no. Don't allow you being politically correct to get you into a situation. There's a lot of issues coming up now, and we had a bunch come up a few years ago where CEOs and all these business people were getting into a bunch of hot water for doing things to their underlings, so doing things to females that work with them. I was gonna say under them, but it doesn't sound right. For females that work with them, yeah. And there was a bunch of people across several different areas that got in trouble for it. And what I'm saying is, if you find yourself in one of those situations, you say no. Job be damned. Yeah. Do not allow yourself to become a victim, because when you should have forcefully said no, you didn't. Okay? Don't put yourself in a situation where no is what is required. It needs to be forceful because of the situation you find yourself in. And if on the other side of it, you're going to end up being a victim of something that you could have stopped if you had forcefully said no. Right? So women and or men, you find yourself in one of those situations, you forcefully say no if that is what is necessary to keep you from the alternative. Don't, because of political correctness, or you don't want this to look, or you don't want, no. You say no if you need to say no to save yourself. Let me see what Mr. Dowdy is saying. Mr. Dowdy is saying, cool idea. But for folks like myself who are less trusting, my concern is that they could also include other information. They could include stuff in the stuff we eat, Delano. There could be anything in the stuff we eat. You know what I mean? We go buy stuff all the time. Yeah, I go to the Caribbean store and I buy, my fruit and vegetable there and all things, but you can grow something with anything where you want. You see what I'm saying? So for me, I could have never sit down and worry about that today. Because there's too many things out there that I'm exposed to that I don't know how it works all the way to the bottom. I don't know the root of it for me to worry about this. You see what I say? It does not make no sense. All right, me go. All right, today, I left here, went to a restaurant for brunch. Okay, they brought me water. They brought me a drink. They brought me wings and fries. I'm a wings and fries specialist, for if you don't know, right? Me no know nothing what happen around my kitchen, friend. Nothing. Me no know. The sauce with the on the wing, me no know nothing about it. Me no know about fries. There's too many things that happen out there that I don't know. The other day, I used to take cortisone shots in my foot bottom because I have some issues with my foot, right? But go on the doctor saying he have something, tell me what he do, and he inject in my foot bottom. Me no know. You understand? My head hurt me about Wednesday night week. And I get the tablet and take some Tylenol. Okay. The bottle said Tylenol upon it. Me don't even know what the chemical constitution of Tylenol include exactly. I'm familiar with the name because the name has been around for a long time. So I throw two of the tablet them like the instructions, I throw them in my mouth and drink some water. That I also drank from a bottle that I bought from the supermarket. There's too many variables for me to worry about this. There's too many things that are out there that I don't know exactly how it works for me to sit and worry about. May I take the bless and eat approach or bless and take in this scenario? Because there's too many things out there, Delano. I see what you're saying. I understand what you're saying. But for me personally, there's just too many things out there that I don't know if those things are, there's a thing the other day I was talking about before the last show, the show before that I was talking about, things that we are more willing to accept because they've been around for a long time. And everybody does it. It's been around for a long time. There are certain things that have been around so long. The name of the thing is a brand and we call it the branded name, even though there are other ones. So say there's a thing we used to call it Delco. We used to call generator Delco. Delco is a brand of generator, but it's been around so long and it was so popular at the time that we call one the other. There are several things that we call by the name of a brand of it because it's been around so long. And those things we don't even question anymore. You see what I'm saying? I'm just saying, like I mentioned before, the fact that we happen to be around. The fact that we happen to be around as this thing, my thing telling me my laptop dying. The fact that we happen to be around as this thing came into creation, that is the only reason we're questioning it. No. You know what I mean? But there's too many other things out there that we don't know about that we ain't worried about because it's been around for a while. Renee is saying she totally agree with me. Say no in a firm voice. All right, Delana, I hope that's my take on it, my friend. But you do have the option to say no. Renee is saying that you should say no in a firm voice. And yes, Renee, you should. Do not fall victim to something that you could have stopped because you said no loud enough to draw some attention to yourself. Don't be afraid of it. Say no loud. Draw the attention that's going to get drawn, and wherever the chips lie, you let them lie right there. Not saying no, and our body language is saying yes. We need to say no. I say no with our body, voice, and everything. Yes, exactly. Because if you're saying one with one and the other with the other, like Renee said, your voice is saying no, but your body is saying yes. You need to clear that up too, because that's an ambiguous situation, and you might again end up in a situation that you end up regretting. So if you find yourself in a situation like that, you say no. You say it forcefully if necessary, and you make sure you're heard. Okay? Nikki, New York again in the house. Familiar with the name because it has been used around for so long. That's the upward phase. Yes. Yes. Yes, it is. But here's the thing. It started somewhere. It had to start somewhere. And the fact that it's been around for a long time, look how much people did from asbestos poisoning when asbestos was used in the construction of houses. And it was used in the construction of houses for a long time until them realized that it's something that cause cancer and kill enough people. It was standard operating procedure until it wasn't, because look at birth control and defects of birth control and long-term effects that I know birth control have that nobody has taken the time to research yet, right? That women are still suffering from. All of a sudden, everybody have fibroids. All of a sudden, a whole increase in people that have to now take fertility treatment to get pregnant and all these things. The fact that the studies haven't been done and we ain't putting it out there don't mean that these things are not the things that are causing the issues that we are having. You see what I'm saying? But I like I said, you do have the option to say no to these things. Delana is saying, you only get one body. I don't take those chances. I hear you, Mr. Dowdy, but do you eat McDonald's? You know when I eat? You ever watch one show named Super Size Me that they make about McDonald's yet? Just saying. What's Eve Lindsay? Greetings, my friend. Bless up yourself. You take them out on the troublemaker in the Manchester High School class of 95 WhatsApp group, but I'm glad you're here. Delano saying personal beliefs is that we can all take full control of our health without the help of big pharma via natural means that are available to us. Yes, I do think we have a bigger hand in it, or if we decide to take that active role. I had Maharai on the show a while back, and her diet is like something to talk about, man. Like, we're gonna have a whole show on her diet and have her just talk you through even a week of everything she eats for the week. You look at her, she fit, she healthy, she in shape, she good to go. I don't think that girl have a inch of body fat on her. She's good to go. Yoga the 9. Right? And what she eats is what probably all of us should be eating, but I'm sure not all of us out there eat like that. Nikki's saying she thinks we need to advise men to listen, to know. Women have been saying no forever. Men just don't listen. Now, the thing of it too, you are correct, I agree. But like I'm saying, sometimes it's not said forcefully when it needs to be said forcefully. So like what Renee was saying, it creates this kind of ambiguous state where is it no or is it not no? And I'm saying sometimes we need to know when it is no time to say a no that nobody can confuse for as anything else. You understand? You ever hear some Jamaican people cuss somebody with it? And when they cuss, you know exactly what I go on. Mind you, I won't demonstrate what that is like on the live show here, but you hear then chop one and you say, okay, yep. Anything where the dog go on, I got to stop right there. So because there's no ambiguity after that part as to what is what. Yeah. But you are correct. You are correct. And if you stop the whole heap of foolishness, men that are out there that are taking no as yes. Martin, you agree with me, Tanasha. Blessings, my dear. Leanne is saying, that's true, Nikki. But honestly, some women send me signals. That's what I was saying too. There are some mixed signals in there as well sometimes. No means no, period, is what I all right, let me see. I haven't actually thought about this. Let me do this on the fly here. No does mean no, yes. That's what I think. You see what I'm saying? I'm never gonna put myself in a situation where a female where it's ambiguous. I've been in situations before where, you know, you've been out with someone, they clearly had too much to drink, and you're now in their hands. I mean, they're now in your hands. You know what I mean? and you safely get them to where they need to go, make sure that they're okay, and you leave. Even when you see them saying and doing things that you know is not consistent with their behavior, and you know you guys are not there, and the opportunity presented itself for advantage to be taken per se, and you still step back because you know that this is, this is something that you're going to blame it on the alcohol, like Jamie Foxx, right? But you step back. But that's me. I know that there are people out there who prey on women, that, I mean, the whole concept of the roofie, the whole concept of a date rape drug is you putting something in somebody's drink that gonna get them to that point where, after the fact, they're not sure if they said yes or said no, and it's just ambiguous. But no does mean no. And it's sad that, I mean, with so many women out there, and men, are in the minority, with so many women out there, you still feel the need to actually, violate somebody to get what you want, them kind of ways. Nikki's saying, I think we have been focusing on women and not on the men. No is no, despite how it's said, and men should accept it as such. Nikki, I agree. Full stop. Lest I say anything that takes away from it. There's so many things about this vaccine, but you said it right. It all comes down to your personal decision, regardless of culture, race, social status. It's an individual decision, and no one is forced. And I would hope no one is forced. You say no if you don't want no vaccine. You hear me, friend? Them man, they are rapists. Yes, they are. Men who slip date rape drug, or slip something a women drink to make them become more private. If a woman does say yes, and then there is a no, confusing as that may be, how the no appears. Well, here's the thing. Okay, I've been in that situation. I've been in the situation where somebody say yes and change their mind and say no. It's very frustrating, I must say. It is very, very, very frustrating. But you have to know yourself. You have to know yourself. You have to know yourself. You have to be a big man, as they say. You have to be mature and realize that you're not. And you see, sometimes too, some people figure say them now for lose, or them figure say them can get away with it. Them can bully course or whatever and get away with it. You know what I mean? And that should never be the case. Now, if no is no and yes is consent, how is no a mixed signal? It's simple. It's simple. You're saying no to me, but the things that you're doing is all right. It's like we mentioned before. We talked about relationship and relations. We ain't having no relations. No, we don't have no relationship no more. Okay, but we still occupy the same space. Oh, you're still in the same body rider. What that for? What you in the body rider walk around the place for? Right? Like there's certain things too, Nikki, that can be done to provoke certain reaction. If you want somebody in something like that, you guys clearly have an attraction for each other, right? Now, if you all are still in the same space, you know want to do nothing like that where I go really aggravate the situation. But yeah, you're right. No does mean no, but we still have to be smart about what we're doing. We still have to be smart about what we're doing. It's almost like sometimes when you go on the road and you see some women wearing something and them not stop pull it down. Where you pull it down for me? So you never know. Say I saw there's something stay before you left your yard. Where you pull it down for? You walk and you pull it down. Stop pull it down. You wear something left your yard where you go ride up on your parts. Where you pull it down every minute for? You understand? It's almost like you're doing these things knowing what's gonna come next. So, like, what are you doing here? You know what I mean? It's kind of like that for me still. Hold on, the comments are coming fast and furious right now. Let me see. Megan, what am I gonna say? No, you are entitled to change your minds, Megan. You are entitled to change your mind, but it creates a frustrating situation for the person. And what prevented you from making up your mind before you said yes in the first place, right? yeah, that's a bad situation. Only try and make up on your mind before you say yes. You hear? No matter with the yes no business. It's a bad business. It puts you in a compromising situation. It's a bad situation to be in for both parties. More so you for having saying yes in the first place. I strongly believe that when you feel like a victim or when people are trying to get us to do something that could hurt us or others, it could be something enjoyable looking from a distance. But yes, but you need to know yourself. You need to know yourself and walk away when you know you need to walk away. Um, she could be naked, ignore her. Megan, that's me throwing down my pen. About foolishness. What she ever naked for? Which men where watching wanna help me out here? What she ever naked for? You gotta say if she naked, should ignore her. What you ever naked for? You're in a space with somebody that you are had a physical relationship. Or not have the physical relationship where you are walk around naked for. My girl, no bother with it. Don't bother with it. Now you're gonna tell him to walk away. No, you walk away and go put on some clothes. Now you hear about. Anyways, but it could be something dangerous and illegal and goes against value standards that I said. I concur with Renee. Megan, me now follow you no more. You come here upon the people I'm sure for get trouble. Sometimes you know it's so short, walk away. I get that you should walk away. No, I'm not saying don't walk away. I'm saying why create that situation in the first place? How about not creating that situation by no that I don't know about that, Megan. Exactly. Thank you, Leanne. Being naked is sending mixed signals. Learn self-control, blah. Megan, I do not agree with you. I apologize if a host is not supposed to say that to his viewers, but I don't agree with you. That's begging for trouble. And if you end up get trouble, one can argue that you put yourself in it. I could go to court and win that case that you were asking for it. Yeah. So don't do it. You hear? Because a good lawyer, even when you go to court, you're gonna just end up with your problems. Then what that come after the fact. You hear? Okay. All right. Yeah, you can talk about go prison. That's what you're talking about. What I'm saying, the argument you're putting forward, a good lawyer is gonna get the guy off. So don't do it. You hear? You will not win. Okay, Megan. All right. Moving right along. She said no. All right, Megan. Don't try to hear because you just might end up with an end result that you don't want. Now, the talk we had today was about it being okay to say no. Some of the situations we look at were doing things you don't want to do as far as peer pressure, alcohol, drugs, stuff like that. Relationship versus relations. You know, your ex wanting some relations even though the relationship has ended. Dress code and conformity, you know, showing it all. The global booty competition is what I think we called it. What we eat, the popular or unpopular vaccine, depending on what side of the coin you're on, and anything that makes you uncomfortable, and most importantly, this is what I want one of our takeaways to be. Most importantly, saying no does not mean that you are not a nice person. Saying no does not mean that you are not a nice person. It is okay to say no. Leanne is saying, Megan, I'm sorry. It's not right to test a man like that. But when a female does that, she's testing the guy. She might fail. He just might fail. And his failure might put you in a situation that you don't want to be in. All right? Now, I'm going to move right along. But like I'm saying, the takeaway is it doesn't make you a bad person saying no. All right? Doesn't make you a bad person when you say no. Megan said she is not condoning it, but men should learn the practice of self-control. I understand, Megan, and women should learn the practice of not provoking men. Also, men should learn the practice of not provoking women. Um, it's like I saw something. Where did I see it? Maybe in the Manchester High School class of '95 WhatsApp chat group, where it said some guy won $30,000, used $20,000 of it, bought a gold chain walking down the street, and somebody robbed the chain off his neck. Okay, Megan, don't go win $30,000 and buy a $20,000 gold chain and walk down the road. People with teeth off of your neck. You hear? All right. Um, it's not right. We're all adults. Women walking around naked. Yeah. All right, Leanne. All right, got y'all. All right, so we're saying it's okay to say no. Saying no does not make you a bad person. All right, dig this. Dig this. Who's that? Who did I add to the screen? Who's that? All right, let's see. Let's see what we have here. Bear with me here. To have some fun with today. So, what are you going to read for us today, Mr.? Look, it's me.
The Nun.
The Nun. I'm such a riot. See, look at me. You know what? Miss Danvers, before you start, I'm going to say one thing, right? I tell folks about the book all the time. And when I was doing a book signing in Jamaica last year, I would tell the folks that come up that there is a poem in this book for everybody. Every poem in the book won't be for you, but you will find a poem in the book that is for you. And you're proving my point right now, because nobody would think that I probably would have a book in there for a church girl. I mean, a poem in there for a church girl. So you are now going to explore the Nun. If you have your book handy, folks, the Nun is on page 14, and it's over to you, Miss Danvers. Whenever you're ready, let's hear it. Everybody, Miss Danvers is going to read.
Okay, let's go. The Nun. She awakes to the struggle of indecision. On the surface, she's a nun. Yet, she's hardwired to have fun. Her inner thoughts deceive her resolve. It's like a puzzle she can't solve. She thinks the thought, but shuns the deed, constantly quenching the need. She derives pleasure from things that she can't share. She's a nun, and nuns don't dare. So she projects the desire for pain. Being a nun can't be that hard. Her own desires threaten her chastity, her appetite bordered. She reminisces on pleasures of old. The speaker speaks of streets of gold. Her motivation may last a day. The constant pressure not to stray. If you see her, you'd never know. She's always composed. It never shows. A dormant volcano destined to erupt. A constant heat that never stops. Yet, she maintains that which she must. The speaker's focus now turns to trust. She arms herself with sword and shield. The daily struggles of the nun are real. And when she sees him, the one who knows, she looks away, let ways the road. Awkward formality, to pass the time, distracted by the demons in her mind, haunted by thoughts of what could have been, battling in their demons, trying not to think, weighted down by the burden she must bear. At times, it's too heavy, and she sheds a tear. Though her desires are natural, her intentions pure, she'd be judged if she acted, even called a whore. Frowned upon for doing what we all think. Eyes closed, hands raised, heavy before the grave. The nun, one under solemn vows of chastity, but this life still exist in reality? Or is she any woman not spoken for who's labeled if a man comes to her door? Maybe she's your ex who belongs on a shelf. Maybe you're just mad at the hand you're dealt. Maybe she's just a woman in this modern world. Maybe she's just an innocent girl.
Yes, Mr. Bird. Yes, I like.
You have such a riot, aren't I? Did y'all see me have such a riot? All right, peoples, that was I tripped myself up. That was Megan. That was not Megan. Megan, you see, so much trouble you give me a call. Me I call Georgina Megan. That was Georgina Danvers from a show we had back in January. Actually, can you believe that? That was back in January, and she read The Nun from the book. And like I said, we have to talk about some poetry, even though y'all want to talk about vaccine and all these entanglement things. Megan. The two last stanzas of the poem is what we're going to talk about just for a little bit more. Bear with me here. The last two stanzas says, "The nun, one under solemn vow of chastity, but this life exists in reality. Or is she any woman not spoken for, who is labeled if a man comes to her door? Maybe she's your ex who belongs on a shelf. Maybe you're just mad at the hand you're dealt. Maybe she's just a woman in the modern world. Maybe she's just an innocent girl." And I remember this show, this when we were live. This is that was probably one of the shows that got the most comments while we were live. I had a bunch of people on there, like Megan, who were just lighting the thing up with comments. It was a riot. And they concluded that the nun was about an actual nun, the pastor was troubling the nun, and all these things. But the last two stanzas of the book says, we exist in reality. Is this nun concept just talking about any woman not spoken for, who is labeled if a man comes to her door? And what I wanted us to touch on real quick is, just like we were talking about before, when it is okay to say no, there are a lot of these situations that we get in where we, for lack of a better word, we judge people. We perceive people in a particular way because of how they choose to live their lives. We label someone who decides to wait for somebody they think is worth their time a nun. We tell her she love going like she better than, she going like she too nice, right? I think during that show, I remember being in Jamaica, and I was at one of them liquor shops, right? Early in the morning. And every man, the pure man they did that time of morning, they were all having breakfast. Breakfast constituted a spliff and a rum and boom, because everybody there had it. So that had to be breakfast. Yeah. So everybody, literally, there were 9 guys there, and everybody had a rum and boom and a spliff. So that was breakfast apparently. And there was a young lady who came up. I think she was dressed like a nurse. So she was in that field. And somebody said the very same thing. She go on like she nice. And I say, yeah, man, she don't have no man around here. And the next man say, what do you mean by she not no man around here? Every woman will live around here if you have a man around here. And the way that conversation progressed from there, I jumped in the car and drove up the road looking for the woman to tell her, lady, make sure you're careful, because them dudes around here talk like say they're going to come kick off your door and do things to you, right? And I was like, why though? Because the lady carries herself a particular way. Because when you said to her, psst, my girl, she don't give you the time of day. So somehow now she nice, or she uppity, or like Megan say, she highty-tighty. And now you feel like you're supposed to violate her in some way. No. You know what I mean? You need to look at yourself and think about whether or not it's just that body. You're not what she wants. Okay, a guy that think, "Psst, my girl is the way to approach a woman," it's probably not the person she's looking for. Don't take it personally. You're just not the person she's looking for. You know what I mean? The last stanza says, maybe she's your ex who belongs on a shelf. Maybe you're just mad at the hand you're dealt. Okay, and we get a lot of this sometimes when people break up and the ex, you're feeling like your ex should not move on. They should not have a life because they don't have you in your awesomeness in their life. They don't, deserve happiness after you. You know what I mean? An example of this is there's a guy, and I like this guy. Well, I like his soccer playing skills. He's called Zlatan Ibrahimovic. He plays for Sweden. And there was one time they interviewed Zlatan, and they asked him, it was his wife's birthday. They asked him what he's gonna get for his wife, and he was like, "Get for my wife? She has Zlatan. What else does she need? She has Zlatan." And he was dead serious. He was saying, "My wife has me. I'm Zlatan Ibrahimovic. What more could she possibly want?" Right? And I was like, seriously, dude, like, okay, I probably need to not follow you so much as a fan anymore. But this is how he felt about himself. You know what I mean? It's almost like, and I'm sure if they were to ever not be together, you know what I mean, he would think she should go pack up herself on a shelf because he's Zlatan Ibrahimovic and she can do better than him. And I'm sure if he ever saw her at some point and she was happy, he would have a problem because in his mind, if she's not with him in all his awesomeness, then she shouldn't have anybody at all. Then the last two lines of the poem says, maybe she's just a woman in this modern world. Maybe she's just an innocent girl. And the concept of the nun when I wrote this poem was just trying to wrap up the way that we view people sometimes. More specifically, the way men view women sometimes, how they label them because the woman doesn't give them the time of day, how they label them because, and guess what? In those instances, to women, it's okay to say no. If some man is out there that just don't meet the expectation of the man you want, bruh, no. You know what I mean? You do not have to at any time lower your standard because no man no day. All of the good man them married. You're in a church and you have to marry one man we got church too and all these things. If him not meet the criteria where you want, him not meet the criteria, because guess what? One of two things are gonna happen. You're gonna stay happy and miserable, or you're not gonna stay married and miserable, or you're not gonna stay married. If you guys end up going that path. You see what I'm saying? So if you are this nun, and like we established in this reality, in this real world, it could just be any woman not spoken for, like it says, who is labeled when any man comes to her door. We're saying it could be somebody's ex who's mad at the hand they're dealt. We're saying it could be any woman in this modern world. We're saying it could be just an innocent girl, right? We're saying if you are not, you also, just like you have the right to say no, you also have the right to ascribe to, wait for, reach for the person you think you should have. You understand? You do not owe anybody any apologies for wanting to be with somebody who you think is worthy of you. Renee Mary is on the show. Renee is on the show. Renee is not spoken for unless it's of late. And Renee, if you are, please do tell me, right? Renee is an accomplished, attractive, energetic, multi-talented person, and she's not spoken for. You think Renee I go there upon wherever and you go get her with my girl, come here? No, my youth, you have got to step up a thing way higher than that. Because the level that she's at, you have to come to her a particular way. And it's not, and mind you now, let's clarify. I'm not saying that she thinks she's better than anyone. I've met her. We knew her each other. I've known her for years, and she's a really, really down to earth person, really, really cool person. She's not that person that thinks, she doesn't think she's better than anybody. And Renee, I apologize if I'm using you as my example here. But at the same time, you're entitled to have your standards. Your standards are yours. You're entitled to have them. And you're entitled to give anybody the hand that don't really realize that you have that right to your standards. And if they're not about it, they're not about it, but the joke's on them. And it is for them to realize that they are not worthy of you. You know what I mean? I have a daughter. I have sisters. You know what I mean? And if you're just not worthy of them, I have very, very good female friends. In fact, I have a very good female friend who got into a committed relationship later. And we need to call the boys because we need to vet her significant other because we're not sure about him. Right? Because guess what? Of the way she is and the way we perceive her as, as friends, she's not supposed to be there with no just rare kind of man. She deserves somebody of a certain caliber. You know what I mean? And there are a lot of women out there who have chosen to remain single because they're not seeing somebody that meets the criteria. And you know what? That's okay. And men out there can say and do whatever they want to say or do, but you're entitled to what you want. You're entitled to what you're entitled to. And don't, just like we said earlier, you have the option to say no. You have the option to say no in this scenario too, right? If him just not fit the bill, him just not fit the bill. If him just not up to the task, him just not up to the task. And there's nothing that says you have to lower your standards to meet him or her, right? I'm going to get some comments and then I'm going to bounce. I had no idea. This show was supposed to be half an hour long. Yeah? No settling around here, area. And that's nice of you guys. What's nice of you guys? What you talk about? Me don't know what you talk about. Katie Abocha. Tell us what you're talking about. All right, folks. And that's the ball game. The show literally ran 3 times as long as I thought. Megan, half of it has to do with you and your shenanigans. But this was the Evelyn People show. I absolutely appreciate everybody for joining. I absolutely appreciate everybody for staying with me. And as I bounce up out of here, peace. The book that the nun came from is Love, Life, Confrontation, Expressions, Selections from the Chronicles of a Black Man. It's in Jamaica, in Fontana Pharmacies. It's online on Amazon.com. Blessings.
Thank you.